Does food have the power to reshape society? On today's menu, cuisine can be more than just delicious. In the right hands, it has the power to change lives, preserving the ancient culture of a Mexican cloud city.
Everybody born in the village has the birthright to make their living off of the natural resources of the village.
Empowering Vietnamese street kids through the craft of cuisine.
Every student here says that koto saved their life.
Revitalizing a small town in upstate Vermont.
When I first started thinking about what's going on in Hardwick, I started thinking if this is the town that food is going to save.
Around the world, chefs and farmers are using their talents to do more than just nourish. Working collectively, they're discovering that cuisine has the potential to transform lives and revitalize communities.
We're in the Sierra Juarez, which is the mountains where Benito Juarez was born. You have to be really careful on this road. With the rains, there's a lot of landslides. There's some big cliffs. If David makes a wrong turn, we're over the edge. We're making a trip to Coajimalloyas, which is a village 10,000 feet high. The name is great because it means the coagulated mole from yesterday's fiesta in the pot. It's part of the group of 8 villages called Pueblos Mancomunados, which means villages that are run by the people. Everybody born in the village has the birthright to make their living off of the natural resources of the village.
Working collectively has been a way of life for centuries in the community of Pueblos Mancomunados. The Zapotec Cooperative is one of the best examples of community-based agricultural systems in Mexico. By sharing the land surrounding their 8 villages and bartering with each other for essential goods, residents maintain the communal lifestyle of their ancestors and keep their communities strong.
This is Benito Juarez. This is the entrance of the Pueblos Mancomunados. This is the first village. The original people came from the valley more than 500 years ago.
Jorge is the current director of tourism of this community. Rafael is a local potato grower.
Una comunidad pequeña.
He said, we're almost 600 people here in the village.
Sociales como todos.
The nice thing here is we are all equal. We have the same rights.
The Pueblos Mancomunados have made it their goal to sustain themselves on sustainable resources. Because of the many microclimates, each village has their specialties and everybody trades amongst themselves foods best grown in each area.
Manzano, durazno.
And they exchange for fruit like apples, like pears. Las papas, muy grande aquí. The potatoes, for example. All the villages here, they know the potatoes here are really good. It's papa criolla.
Ah, qué bien.
Criollo means native to here, native to this area, grown on small plots, and it has a much better flavor.
This is very interesting. If you go like 5 minutes down, it's completely different. No? It changed everything.
Cloud forest area, and then there's another little microclimate 5 miles down the road. Yeah, with this altitude, you really feel it when you're walking. Instead of keeping these huge agricultural businesses alive, everybody is joining in small little collectives or co-ops to kind of keep this ancient way of subsistence living alive. It smells great in here. Doña Lucia runs a lovely local comedor or eatery. Together we're making a feast of local food, just perfect for this early autumn. We have stuffed trout empapelado, which means in paper. It's a great lunch. The fish she has stuffed with tomato, cilantro, onion. It's closed and it's wrapped in papelado. Except the paper is actually this aromatic, fabulous hoja santa leaf, which is that anise-flavored herb. It contrasts the flavor of the fish. We have all kinds of mushroom dishes, sopa, trompeta a la mexicana, and breaded fried porcinis. Joel is our guide in the mushroom forest. There's a system here where everybody gets their chance to do different roles that are very important in the village. And Joel learned his craft from a French scientist who was working in this area. For months on end, they would spend 5 or 6 hours a day just searching out mushrooms. And now Joel is an expert himself.
Se llama Evela.
Es muy bonito.
The scary thing about mushrooms is that many of the edible kind also have highly poisonous kinds that look alike.
Este es demasiado tóxico y en la cabeza son completas.
He says, in the distance, it's very similar. See the color, the texture. The difference is the slats in the trunk. This one is edible, this is not.
There's a dicho, there's a saying that says they're bold mushroom hunters and they're old mushroom hunters, but they're no old, bold mushroom hunters.
Hay que conocerlos bien porque algunas tienen más toxinas.
These are cotton mushroom. This pink one, this is edible, but the yellow one, we can eat this one, but we prefer this.
Este lo conocemos como trompeta y es comestible.
This is trompeta, trumpet mushroom. He said there is no toxic mushroom that looks like this, so this is very safe to eat. It's like a beautiful orange flower that just grows out of the ground.
Los trompetas a la mexicana.
For the trompetas a la mexicana, Doña Lucy has to scrape off the bright orange layer as it adds kind of an acidic flavor. A la mexicana. That's with tomato, chilies, onion, cilantro. The Carl, she's going to make in a soup with just a little tomatoes, maybe some hoja santa, mustard, and a little bit of onion. It's delicious. It has the coral mushroom. This is the flowers from the mustard. Kind of makes it a little spicy. And it has hoja santa, which is like a licorice type flavor. It's really fresh. Like what's nice about Doña Lucia's food is it really tastes like what the ingredients are.
Criollo means native to the region that it's grown in. The flavors are so much better in these Criollo products. What we need to do is buy locally because you can really make a difference. If you spend your money in the small markets, it takes longer to shop. Maybe you shop from 10 different people, but you end up having relationships with those 10 different people and you feel like you're actually contributing something to their lives.
In the late 1990s, a Vietnamese-Australian tour guide, Mr. Jimmy Pham, was shocked to see many street kids around Hanoi City. At first, he just helped them by giving money, giving food, but then he began thinking the best way to help the street kids was to give them a job.
Ngả ra đằng sau này, hiểu chưa? Chứ không phải là nhấc lên như thế này.
Every student here says that Koto saved their life. Otherwise, they will be homeless, destitute, maybe even dead. My name is Hoi Lan Dao. I work at Koto Vocational Training Center in Hanoi City, Vietnam.
KOTO, which stands for No One, Teach One, is a culinary school that gives Vietnamese street kids the skills they need to land jobs in the restaurant industry, encouraging them to stay on as teachers, share their knowledge, and help others in the community. Since 1996, KOTO has grown from a sandwich shop to a 120-seat restaurant and training center, with many graduates becoming respected local chefs.
Nhớ để ý em nhé. Cái này nó hấp có 5, 3, 4, 5. Xào luôn bằng cái chảo này đi. Ok, và bây giờ mình sẽ đun cái thủy. Hôm nay mình học về phương pháp gì nhỉ? Hấp cái thủy.
Today the students are learning about steaming.
Và em phải biết là khi mình hấp cái thủy là mình phải biết là những cái thực phẩm của mình là hấp bao nhiêu hấp cái thủy.
The students are trained in Western cooking and classical European technique.
Có nghĩa là không bị ra cái nếu mà em quấn như này nó sẽ cái nước cái rượu này làm gì nó có cái chất lỏng làm gì để cho nó gì hấp.
But Vietnamese food is also taught to hone and perfect the cuisine that all of us grew up with. This is Koto restaurant. All the kids that work here are either current or former students of Koto. It's a popular restaurant in Hanoi with some of the best food in the city.
This is called golden syrup pudding. Cái khay bánh này mình hấp cái thủy thì mình đổ nhiều ngập hay là mình đổ ít nhỉ?
The teacher today, Miss Ha, comes from very difficult circumstances.
Khi mà em nướng lò và em cũng phải cẩn thận là biết.
Her father died when she was 3 years old. Her older brother is a drug addict. Her mother got sick and needed treatment.
So I'm selling tea on the streets for my mother. Thì đợt đấy chị cũng gặp.
As a teenager working on the streets to support her family, Miss Ha was recruited for the first ever class of Koto's training school. Her mother died, but now she teaches kids in just as difficult circumstances.
Bây giờ chị sẽ đổ cái này để cho...
One of Miss Ha's favorite things is to take the street food of her childhood and reinvent it with a more modern sophistication. Miss New's family were rice farmers. They were so poor that her parents had to give her, her brother, and sister up for adoption.
Cả lớp nghe chị nói này.
She decided to become a trainee of Koto to change her life, to get a better future. At the moment, she's the best student in English and in cooking class.
Có muốn thử bánh chín chưa? Cần thiết là bọn em cẩn thận bỏng.
Today is her birthday. She's just turning 18. All her class is celebrating her birthday like a big family. She would like to be a famous cook in the future and then come back to teach at Koto as Miss Ha has done. These students are not only learning to be expert chefs, they are also finding a community they can call home.
Hardwick is the gateway to the Northeast Kingdom. It's an area that's known for long, harsh winters and bucolic summers, beautiful, beautiful long summers. Hardwick was a booming granite town until the early 40s, and since then, it's really had a hard time finding an industry to sustain itself. What's happened in the last few years is that there have been a number of food-based, ag-based businesses have located in the area, bringing with them a lot of really youthful energy and a lot of outside-the-box thinking. When I first started thinking about what's going on in Hardwick, I started thinking that this is the town that food is going to save. My name is Ben Hewitt. I'm a writer by trade. I also own and operate a small farm in Vermont.
With an unemployment rate 30% higher than the rest of the state, the citizens of Hardwick, Vermont took a revolutionary step. Instead of every man for himself, they brought the collective approach to their town. Local businesses, farmers, and chefs banded together to develop a food infrastructure unlike anything found in North America, one based on cooperation, not competition. From the farm to the dinner table, they've created a sustainable system that's gaining attention for its social and economic benefits.
The local foods movement in this country is certainly picking up steam, but I think what's unique about what's going on in Hardwick is that the owners of these businesses are coming together in a way that is collaborative, non-competitive, and supportive.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Good.
Tom Stearns from High Mowing Seeds is basically relentlessly energetic, relentlessly hopeful, and obsessed is not too strong a word for his passion in furthering his vision for Hardwick.
Getting the fourth one up?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Yeah. The group of farm-based businesses in our community, we feel that we have the opportunity to create a model for a healthy food system that the rest of this country needs so desperately.
What did you call this again?
Bonsai Thai, a flowering broccoli.
Stephen down at Claire's has been considering using some of this in his kitchen.
13 years ago, when I first moved to this area, I watched the empty storefronts on Hardwick have businesses start in them, 6 months later, leave again. Now, I don't think there's anything empty. Got these 3 different flowering broccolis for you to try.
Thank you, sir.
All of the individual businesses in our area have been thriving and doing really well on their own. But together, we are reaching new heights that we haven't been able to reach before. Wow, looks good.
One of the terms that's sort of been evolving the last few years is food web.
Any food web begins at the soil and begins with compost. Highfields Institute in Hardwick is a great organization that does research in composting.
In Vermont, we throw away around 130,000 tons of food a year. Highfields Institute is about getting those nutrients out of the waste stream and back into the resource stream, back onto farms to grow food to feed local community members.
So they supply compost to our farm at High Mowing Seeds.
Yeah, this is farmer's gold.
We grow the seeds on our place that are adapted to growing in this climate well. Those seeds then go to farms like Pete's Greens.
We started off very much focused on fancy restaurants. We sold as far away as Manhattan, but about 3 years ago we became more interested in feeding our community.
Pete on his vegetable farm produces the vegetable crops, the part we all eat. That goes to farmers markets and also to a place like Claire's Restaurant. Claire's Restaurant and Bar, Main Street, Hardwick, is this great community-owned restaurant.
Our mission is to bring life to downtown in Hardwick, but it's also to serve the local agricultural economy and help create jobs.
When I ate there just yesterday, everything on my plate, everything came from within 6 miles. And what we have left over on our plate all goes back into a compost bin and gets picked up by HighFields to get composted again, and the cycle is complete. Why this is important to me is because I feel like we have gotten out of balance on this planet with how we live based on this false premise that we are in a world of unlimited resources.
Here's this system that's totally dependent on a steady flow of cheap fossil fuels. Big, huge industrial farmers can't get that. They're not planting their fields, and you're not getting fed.
This is how we do our taste test, try to find out what the best romaine is. Back in the 20s, there were 40 million farmers in the United States. There are less than 2 million now.
We have created a food system that is so large that we've become totally disconnected from it. Doesn't it make sense for us to take back control of the thing that is most essential for our survival?
We've got enough seed to grow food for a lot of people.
Yeah, very foundation of civilization right there in Tom's hands.
It is.
I originally conceived this story as sort of the town that food saved. But as I got more into what's going on here, I started to realize that possibly this is the town that's going to save food. And if you take that one step further, you start to realize that it could be the town that's going to save us.
Later. Back in Vermont, Tom Stearns pays a visit to Jasper Hill Farm, another essential participant in the Hardwick food web.
My name is Mateo Keeler. I'm the head cheesemaker at Jasper Hill Farm, and I manage the cellars at Jasper Hill with my brother Andy.
Mateo and Andy Keeler run Jasper Hill Farm. They milk cows, they make cheese, and they also age cheese from soon to be a couple dozen other farmers from around the state.
At Jasper Hill Farm, they not only make their own award-winning cheeses, but have built a state-of-the-art facility that works like a cheese bank.
That's cool.
Local farmers deposit their cheeses in Jasper Hill's vault, taking advantage of their aging technology. Since the value of cheese increases as it matures, the farm plays a vital role in helping Vermont's dairy community sustain themselves economically.
It's quite obvious that the small-scale dairy operation, as it's operated in Vermont for decades now, it's going the way of the dinosaur. It doesn't really work that well anymore. And everyone maybe doesn't have to struggle so hard if we can apply some outside-the-box thinking.
This is a Tom-style vault. What we're able to do is take the most labor-intensive parts of the process, the aging, and the most daunting marketing, sales, and distribution off the table for a producer and allow them to capture the easiest margin to capture, which is actually turning that milk into cheese. This is Bailey Hazen Blue. This is Jasper Hill's signature and flagship cheese. I tell people that we're in the business of farm viability, that we'll actually do well if the farmers that we're working with succeed and prosper.
Wow, that is so creamy.
These are cheese mites. Cheese mites are a part of any self-respecting cellar.
Is this their poop or?
No, that's them, and they feed on the mold that grows on the rind of a natural rinded cheese. When they're done eating the mold, they actually start eating the cheese. So
Mateo loves to kill by the trillion.
We're doing battle.
The group of farm-based businesses in our community are winning awards for the best cheese, the best seeds, the most socially responsible business.
This cheese won Best of Show at the American Cheese Society, which is basically the equivalent of winning the World Series of cheese. and allowed us to persuade bankers to part with millions of dollars that enabled us to build this facility.
Good job, little cheese.
That's right.
Some of these businesses are growing to employ 10, 20, even 30 people. That ends up being a pretty large base of employees, and that has a pretty big maximizing effect on the economy.
One of the things that's happened very recently in town here that serves as like an affirmation of all that's been going on is the opening of Claire's Bar and Restaurant.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Good to see you.
Claire's opened this past year, and it's become a gathering place that so many people, I think, in this town were, you know, no pun intended, hungry for.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, thanks for coming.
It's not uncommon to walk into Claire's on any given night of the week and see 2 or 3 or 4 local food producers sitting there eating each other's food.
Welcome to dinner.
We're going to meet Annie from the Buffalo Mountain Co-op. 3 of the 4 owners of Claire's are joining us. Andrew Meyer from Vermont Soy Company. And we've got Andy and Mateo Keeler from Jasper Hill Farm.
You go around and everybody's doing business with everybody else around the table. I mean, it's a complete web right here.
The most exciting thing is that we're just like barely starting.
This is extremely exciting. I mean, the world is paying attention to what's happening here.
There's no pot in this pot.
Oh yeah, we believe you now. Whether it's because of economic times, whether it's because of oil, whether it's because of a new administration, the timing is right for what we're doing. And we are working really hard so that this example can be something that helps others in their communities.
To Hardwick. To Hardwick.
This interconnectedness that we have is something that the rest of this world is going to have to do. The trends and the way things are going is that we are going to be forced to make very, very hard, challenging decisions. If we make these choices now, it's on our own terms. We can do it in a measured and strategic way as opposed to managing a crisis that is going to be at pretty colossal proportions. So if we can figure out how to be better stewards of this place, and through the food system is the best way to learn that, then I feel like we've got a much more hopeful future.